The Disappearance of Maura Murray, Roadside Vanishing. The Final Drive. Monday, February 9th, 2004. A cold winter afternoon in Amherst, Massachusetts. 21-year-old nursing student Maura Murray sits at her computer. She sends an email to her professors claiming there's been a death in the family and she'll be away for a few days. That was a lie. There was no death. Just a quiet plan she never told anyone about. She then packs her car, a black 1996 Saturn sedan, with clothes, toiletries, her textbooks, and a printed MapQuest route to Burlington, Vermont. Before leaving campus, she withdraws $280 from an ATM and stops by a liquor store to buy vodka, Kahlua, and boxed wine. Security footage shows her calm, alone. No signs of panic. No signs that this would be her last day seen alive. Around 7:25 p.m., in the tiny town of Haverhill, New Hampshire, a local resident hears a loud thump outside her home. She looks out her window and sees a car, Maura's Saturn, crashed into a snowbank at the curve of Route 112. A neighbor calls 911. Another local stops by the scene. He asks if Maura needs help. She says no. "I've already called APA," she tells him. That wasn't true. There's no record of her calling anyone. By the time police arrive at 7:46 p.m., just 10 minutes later, Maura is gone. Vanished. Into the woods. Into the dark. Or into something far worse. A vanishing in minutes. When police arrived at the crash site, they found Maura's car locked. Inside were signs she had been drinking, a box of wine spilled across the back seat. Her personal belongings were still there, her packed bags, her school books, her driving directions. But her phone and her debit card were gone. The surrounding area was searched that night. Dogs, flashlights, foot patrol. There were no fresh tracks in the snow leading into the woods. No blood. No signs of a struggle. It was as if Maura had vanished into thin air. Investigators initially believed she might have run off into the woods, disoriented or drunk. But there was one problem. The temperature that night was below freezing. She wasn't wearing winter gear. If she had fled on foot, she would have succumbed to the cold quickly. Yet there was no body, no footprints, no trace. It didn't make sense. And for the Murray family, especially her father Fred, the story the police were telling never added up. They didn't believe Maura had run. They believed someone had taken her. And they would spend the next 2 decades trying to prove it. The life she left behind. To understand Maura's disappearance, you have to look at the life she was living just days before she vanished. On the surface, Maura Murray was a model student. Smart, driven, a former West Point cadet. But underneath that, cracks had started to form. Just days before she disappeared, Maura had a complete breakdown at her campus job. She was found crying at her desk for nearly 2 hours. When asked what was wrong, she simply said, "My sister." Later, it was revealed that her sister had relapsed into alcoholism that night during a phone call, something that deeply shook Maura. But others wondered if there was more going on. She had also been in a rocky, long-distance relationship. Her boyfriend, Billy Rausch, was in the Army and stationed in Oklahoma. The two had exchanged troubling emails in the weeks leading up to her disappearance. Some of them hinted at dishonesty, mistrust, secrets. And then there was the credit card incident. Just months before she vanished, Maura was caught using a stolen credit card number to order food. She was facing university disciplinary action. Nothing major, but it added to the sense that Maura was spiraling, quietly, privately. Signs of a plan or escape. After Maura disappeared, investigators began piecing together the final 48 hours of her life. And what they found was strange. Very strange. On Sunday, the day before she vanished, Maura spent time with her father Fred. They went car shopping. Maura's Saturn had been falling apart, and Fred wanted her in something safer. Later that night, she borrowed Fred's new car and crashed it on the way back to her dorm. She told her father she'd pay for the damages, but Fred later said she sounded distant, not scared, not even embarrassed, just distracted. On Monday morning, Maura made a series of curious moves. She emailed her professors about a fake family death. She called a condo owner in Bartlett, New Hampshire, inquiring about a rental. She checked weather conditions in the White Mountains. And then, without telling a single friend or family member, she got in her car and drove north. Some say she was planning to clear her head. Others believe she was running from something, or running toward someone. But if she was meeting someone, they've never come forward. And if she planned this all along, why did she bring alcohol and textbooks? Why did she vanish only minutes after a minor car crash? The theories begin. From the moment Maura disappeared, speculation exploded. Theories ranged from the reasonable to the downright bizarre. Theory 1. She walked into the woods and died of exposure. It was cold, snow-covered. She may have panicked, wandered off, and succumbed to the elements. But search teams with scent dogs found nothing. No footprints, no remains, no clues. Theory 2. She was picked up by a stranger, a passing car, maybe someone pretending to offer help. But there were no tire tracks, no witnesses, and Maura was only alone for 7 to 10 minutes before police arrived. It would have taken a very fast and very quiet abduction. Theory 3. She planned her own disappearance. Some believe she was overwhelmed by school, by personal issues, by life, and that she ran away to start over. But then, why not take her things? Why not wait longer after the crash, or contact someone, anyone, later? It's been over 20 years. No confirmed sightings, no phone calls, nothing. There were also rumors about a second person being at the scene. Unconfirmed, unproven, but enough to keep the internet flooded with questions. Witnesses in the dark. In a small town like Haverhill, strangers stand out. And on the night Maura disappeared, a few locals did notice things. A bus driver named Butch Atwood was the last known person to speak with her. He said Maura seemed shaken but not injured. He offered to call for help. She declined. She claimed she had already called AAA, but there's no record of that call. Butch drove home and called police himself. When they arrived about 10 minutes later, she was gone. Some speculated Butch himself might have had more to do with it, but multiple polygraphs and no evidence ever linked him to foul play. Other neighbors claimed they saw a light in the woods, a figure, movement, but nothing definitive. One man claimed he saw a young woman, looking dazed, walking along Route 112 after the crash. But by the time he circled back, she was gone. Police never confirmed his statement. Piece by piece, the story kept slipping through fingers, and as the days turned to weeks, a quiet panic began to settle in. What if Maura Murray hadn't just vanished? What if someone had made her disappear? Secrets and shadows. In the months following Maura's disappearance, her family launched a relentless search. They posted flyers, knocked on doors, appeared on national TV. Her father, Fred Murray, became a fixture in the woods around Route 112. Searching alone, day after day, hoping for a clue, fearing what he might find. But as time passed, questions turned inward. Why did Maura lie to her professors? Why didn't she tell her friends where she was going? Who was she calling from her cell phone in the final days? One call was made to a number traced to a man who ran a condominium rental in Vermont. Was she planning to stay there? Meet someone? Or was it a coincidence? Her phone records showed more. Brief calls, no voicemails, no lasting connections. Her email inbox revealed a woman quietly planning something. But what exactly she was planning? No one could say. Not her father, not her friends, not the police. The internet takes hold. As weeks turned into months and months into years, Maura Murray's case evolved. It left police precincts and entered a new space: the internet. Forums, message boards, Reddit threads. Everyone had a theory. Everyone had a suspect. And everyone wanted to be the one to solve the mystery. Some amateur sleuths pored over satellite images of the area, looking for disturbed ground or signs of a shallow grave. Others mapped cell tower pings, trying to track her movements in those final hours. One group even tried reconstructing her likely travel route by wind direction and snowdrift patterns. The deeper people dug, the more tangled it became. Was there a police cover-up? Did someone in the town know more than they claimed? Had Maura changed her identity and started over somewhere far away? Theories bred more theories, and with each passing year, the facts grew colder, while the speculation grew louder. Reopened files, renewed hope. In 2009, 5 years after her disappearance, Maura's case was officially classified as a criminal investigation. That shifted the tone. It was no longer treated as a missing persons file. Now it was a potential foul play case. New leads trickled in, but none panned out. Then, in 2012, cadaver dogs alerted on a specific house near the crash site. The scent of human remains was detected in the basement. A sample was taken. But before anything could be done, the house was sold. The basement was renovated. Evidence, if any, was lost. Years later, Fred Murray pushed for the FBI to get involved. He believed, and still believes, that his daughter met with violence, and that someone in the area knows more than they've said. In 2017, Oxygen released a documentary series on Maura's case. It brought fresh eyes, new questions, and more public pressure on law enforcement. But even with the renewed spotlight, the mystery remained. The haunting of what-ifs. Maybe she was running. Maybe she was scared. Maybe she just needed to be alone, and the world didn't give her the chance to come back. Or maybe something darker happened. A wrong turn into the hands of the wrong person. A moment of vulnerability that turned fatal. What makes Maura Murray's story so haunting isn't just that she vanished. It's that she vanished in plain sight, on a road with houses, with neighbors watching, with police minutes away. And yet, she was gone. It's the kind of story that gets under your skin, because it tells us something we don't want to admit. Sometimes people disappear, even when they shouldn't be able to, even when everything says they couldn't have. The girl who vanished into silence. Today, there are no confirmed sightings of Maura Murray. No arrests, no remains. Just a timeline full of gaps, and a road that still remembers. Her case is still considered active. Her family still hopes. Her name still echoes through the corners of online communities and cold case circles. Maybe she was taken. Maybe she ran. Maybe we'll never know. But one thing is certain. Maura didn't disappear without leaving something behind. She left questions. She left theories. And she left a hole in her family, in her community, and in a generation of people who never stopped looking. This is the American Mysteries Archives. And this was the story of the girl who vanished into silence, Maura Murray.
Subscribe for more chilling mysteries. Thanks for being here. See you in the next time.